The sun hung low in the sky, casting an amber glow across the hills of a distant kingdom where a mortal named Psyche lived. Her beauty was a marvel, whispered about in every corner of the realm. Her eyes shimmered like the morning dew, her hair cascaded like rivers of silk, and her presence seemed to still the very air around her. People travelled far and wide to behold her radiance, and soon a dangerous rumour began to spread, that Psyche was more beautiful than Aphrodite, the goddess of love herself. The altars of Aphrodite grew cold, the offerings sparse, and the hymns once sung in her honour faded into silence. Anger stirred within the goddess as she watched her devotees abandon her for this mortal girl. On a day when the skies darkened, though no storm brewed, Aphrodite summoned her son, Eros. He appeared in her chambers, his golden wings shimmering and his quiver of arrows glinting in the dim light. "My son," Aphrodite began, her voice laced with venom, "this mortal girl dares to rival me. She must be punished for her arrogance. Go to her, shoot her with your arrow, and ensure she falls in love with the most vile, hideous creature imaginable. Let her beauty lead her to ruin." Eros, though bound by his mother's will, hesitated. There was a kindness in him, a reluctance to wreak havoc on an innocent soul. Yet he dared not defy Aphrodite outright. That night, he descended to Psyche's chamber, his form invisible to mortal eyes. He found her asleep, bathed in moonlight that only accentuated her ethereal beauty. As he approached, arrow poised, Psyche stirred. Her gentle breathing and serene face captivated him, and his grip faltered. In that moment, his own arrow grazed his skin, and the unthinkable happened. Eros, the god of love, fell hopelessly in love. He retreated, his mission undone, but his heart forever marked. Still, Aphrodite's wrath lingered, and the gods began to meddle in Psyche's life. No mortal dared to marry her, for her beauty was seen as a blessing and a curse. Her parents, desperate to understand their daughter's fate, sought the oracle of Delphi. The cryptic prophecy they received was chilling. "Your daughter," the oracle intoned, "is destined to wed not a mortal man, but a monstrous being that even the gods fear. He awaits her on the desolate peak of a mountain." Grief-stricken, Psyche's parents prepared her for this grim fate. Clad in black, she walked toward the mountain, her head held high despite the dread that weighed her down. The winds howled as she reached the summit, but instead of a monster she felt a gentle breeze. Zephyrus, the west wind, lifted her into the air and carried her to a palace unlike any she had ever imagined. The palace shimmered with gold and ivory, its halls vast and echoing with the sound of unseen music. Psyche was greeted by invisible servants who tended to her every need. Yet, her host, her supposed husband, remained hidden. When night fell, he came to her, speaking in a voice that was both kind and commanding. "You are safe here," he assured her, "but you must promise one thing. Never seek to see my face. Trust me, and all will be well." Psyche, though curious, found herself comforted by his words. Nights turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Though she never saw him, she fell deeply in love with the gentle soul who visited her each evening. Still, doubt began to creep in, fueled by her longing for her family. One day, Psyche begged her unseen husband to allow her sisters to visit. Reluctantly, he agreed. When her sisters arrived, they marveled at her new life but soon grew envious. They whispered poisonous doubts into her ear. "How can you love someone you've never seen?" they asked. "What if he is a monster hiding his true form?" Psyche tried to dismiss their words, but the seeds of doubt had been sown. That night, after her husband had fallen asleep, she lit an oil lamp and crept toward him. As the golden light illuminated his face, she gasped. Before her lay not a monster, but Eros himself, his beauty rivaling that of the stars. Yet, as she leaned closer, a drop of oil from the lamp spilled onto his shoulder. He awoke with a start, his eyes filled with hurt. "Why could you not trust me?" he asked, his voice heavy with sorrow. Before Psyche could respond, Eros spread his wings and vanished into the night. The palace crumbled around her, leaving her alone in the desolate wilderness. Heartbroken and determined to win back her love, Psyche sought out Aphrodite. The goddess, still furious, agreed to reunite them, but only if Psyche could complete a series of impossible tasks. The first task was to sort an enormous pile of seeds, barley, millet, and poppy, by dawn. Psyche despaired, but as she wept, a colony of ants appeared and, moved by her plight, sorted the seeds for her. The second task required Psyche to gather golden fleece from the fierce, deadly rams of a nearby meadow. As she approached, the reeds by the river whispered advice. Wait until the rams rest in the shade, then collect the fleece caught on the branches. Following their guidance, Psyche succeeded. For the third task, Aphrodite demanded water from the Styx, the deadly river of the underworld. As Psyche approached the perilous cliffs, an eagle, sent by Zeus, swooped down and filled her flask. The final task was the most dangerous. Aphrodite ordered Psyche to journey to the underworld and retrieve a fragment of Persephone's beauty in a small box. Armed with advice from sympathetic gods, Psyche navigated the treacherous realm of the dead, but curiosity got the better of her. She opened the box, hoping to glimpse the beauty within, and fell into a death-like sleep. Eros, still deeply in love, learned of Psyche's plight. He flew to her side, brushing the sleep from her eyes with a kiss. Together, they approached Zeus, who was moved by their love. He decreed that Psyche would drink ambrosia, the nectar of the gods, granting her immortality. She and Eros were wed on Olympus, and even Aphrodite, witnessing their devotion, gave her blessing. Their love became a symbol of trust, resilience, and the power to overcome even the most insurmountable odds. Psyche and Eros lived forever, their story written among the stars as a reminder that true love, though tested, endures eternally.